Welcome back to 60 Minutes. Banks are supposed to be held to the highest corporate standard, and they're never shy to tell us when they're doing things right. But there's a story that our big four banks are not telling you. It's a story of alleged forced evictions and land acquisitions, families losing the homes they've held for generations, and it's been happening with the financial backing of Australian banks. The Commonwealth, Westpac, ANZ and NAB are all accused of putting profit before people. You see, the banks have invested in or financed big overseas agricultural companies in poorer developing nations. The result is often land grabs that would be condemned if they happened here in Australia. In a remote corner of Brazil, this village ceremony welcomes new visitors to their land, which is their culture and lifeblood. But these are tough times. Thousands of hectares of tribal land has been grabbed by neighbouring farmers who've created enormous sugar plantations. In the agricultural boom to feed the world, this has become some of the richest soil on the planet, a prime investment for foreign banks. Thank you. Obrigado. But while shareholders reap the rewards, these families are left with virtually nothing.
With this ongoing process, the Indians find themselves in a situation of great despair.
They're fighting a losing battle though, aren't they?
Yeah. And they have very few allies.
Marcos Romero is an expert anthropologist who advises the local prosecutor. He's determined to bring to light the plight of these people so Australian bank customers can see that their investments are being used to plant crops that forced a race of people off their land. Is there any doubt at all that this land belongs to the local Indian population?
No, there's no doubt. There's no doubt that they have been here for at least thousands and thousands of years.
Legally, it's been proven that they have a right to that land. There are decrees in place by the Brazilian government, correct?
Yes.
Sugar production here has tripled over the past 3 years. Agricultural giants like Bunge in Brazil harvest the cane for raw sugar and ethanol. And through a web of companies, our Commonwealth Bank has invested millions in Bunge. The problem is, the sugarcane has been planted on land that local Indians have been desperately and very publicly fighting to reclaim from farmers. So when they were back in their city headquarters in Australia, what was the Commonwealth Bank thinking when they thought it was good business to invest in a company 15,000 kilometres away that keeps the people of this Brazilian village dirt poor? You have to wonder whether they applied the same ruthless scrutiny to that transaction as they do the millions of their Australian customers who bank with them. They should be aware. I mean, this is a long-running issue. This is an on-the-record public issue.
I mean, this is biblical. You search, you seek and you shall find. If you have not found, it's because you have not sought properly.
So the most basic of scrutiny by the Commonwealth Bank would have discovered very easily that the company it's investing in, Bunge, is in dispute with the local landowners and that they're using their land for the sugarcane to make money.
Definitely.
In Brazil, the fight for land rights can be brutal on both sides. Clashes between farmers and Indians are common and sometimes deadly. 200 people across this region tell the same heartbreaking story of conflict and loss after big sugar, backed by banks from all over the world, rolled into town. The investors may vary, but not the results. Polluted streams from farming pesticides and sick children. Chief, this is a very important document for you. What is it?
Essa terra, há documentos da minha terra já está varia.
The document confirms that this is my land. This land has already been assessed. Here's the declaration and signature of the minister, stating that this land has already been recognized as indigenous.
Village Chief Alindo celebrated victory in 1995 when Brazil's Justice Department officially declared this traditional land. But the country's president needed to sign off on it, and that still hasn't happened. It seems big agriculture, like Bunji, has political clout. What message do you have for the Commonwealth Bank and its investors in Australia?
Então, isso mesmo que...
They have to stop. They have to stop sending money to Bunji, because Bunji is occupying our land, planting sugarcane. So they have to stop sending money to Bunji. Agriculture and food production is the new global boom economy, and Australian banks are staking their ground. According to research by Oxfam, NAB, who just posted a $5.1 billion profit, lent controversial Southeast Asian palm oil producer Wilmar, or its subsidiaries, more than $200 million. Westpac, who posted a $7.6 billion profit this year, financed logging giant WTK, a company accused of land grabs in Papua New Guinea. And the ANZ, who made a bumper $7.1 billion profit, financed a mill for Cambodia's Phnom Penh Sugar, a company with a history of human rights issues who allegedly forced people from their land to grow sugarcane. Do you think the banks are being ethical in investing in these land grabs?
Well, clearly I don't think they're being ethical.
Helen Zoki is the chief executive of Oxfam and says no Australian bank should be involved in any of this conflict if it was true to its own word. The Commonwealth, Westpac, NAB and ANZ are signatories to no less than 6 ethical investing agreements, and all have agreed to the United Nations Global Compact, committing to responsible investment in the agricultural commodities industry. Why should we care about what is going on here?
We should care because it's our money that's involved in these practices.
So if you're a shareholder in the banks at the moment, or you have your superannuation invested in the banks, you're saying question where those profits are coming from because it's on the back of other people's misery.
Where the big 4 banks are investing in companies that are involved in these practices that have such a horrific impact on the lives of people, I don't think Australians want to see that happening.
The ANZ here in Cambodia is navigating a different set of problems with its controversial investment. Recently, it cut and ran, ending its finance of the sugar company and trying to distance itself from local issues. But the bank is under increasing pressure to now help fix the mess it left behind. A 40-year-old mother of 5, Panoon Ra, is in the middle of that mess. What did they do to force you off your land?
They came here and used a machine, like bulldozer, to clear all our land, to clear all the crops and the house, all the crops that we've been growing for many years. And that day they cleared every crop. We don't have any crops anymore.
So they bulldozed your house, they bulldozed your crops so they could plant the sugar.
Yes, that's right. They clear our lands with bulldozer to grow the sugar.
Phnom Penh Sugar paid just $50 for her land and forced her family to this tiny plot. She says police and local authorities turned a blind eye. Phnom Penh Sugar deny that anyone was forced from their land. Amongst the impoverished conditions, this family treasures these land title documents above all their meagre possessions. Proof, they say, the land is theirs. Do you have a direct message for that Australian bank, the ANZ?
We are suffering. We don't have enough jobs or fair compensation from this company. So please, ANZ, help the people. We need the help so we don't live in fear and suffering.
By investing in this sugar mill, what has the ANZ done here?
People land was grabbed, people livelihood were destroyed.
Lawyer Vuthi Eng works for Equitable Cambodia. The ANZ has a very strong presence here.
Yes, they work with big company. Like they are not helping the people, but they are involving with land grabbing. They're involving with social problem in Cambodia.
He wants the ANZ to pay a minimum of $5 million in compensation to the people of Peace Village. And given ANZ's $7 billion profit last financial year, $5 million seems like a paltry sum. Can it escape its responsibilities here?
You cannot run away from your responsibilities. You have profited from this business. Then you have to take responsibility to address this problem.
Most Cambodians are Buddhists, peaceful people. But since the ANZ pulled their investment from Phnom Penh sugar, protests like these have become a regular occurrence in Cambodia's capital. Villagers drive hours in the hope the ANZ will hear their plea for compensation.
ANZ cannot run away without cleaning this mess, this problem.
Back in Brazil, our numerous requests for an interview with agribusiness Bunji were declined. So we visited their giant refinery and offices. We're trying to work out why Bunji keeps taking sugarcane from disputed land, from the land of the local Indian population.
Okay, you cannot film.
They later issued this statement. The lands in question have not yet been affirmed as indigenous by the federal government, and the farmers from whom we source sugarcane grown on these lands are the legal owners, and have been for decades. As such, Bunji's approach has been rooted in legal compliance and due process. We honour our contracts. That said, when these contracts expire at the end of the current harvest, we will not renew them. We asked all the banks for on-camera interviews, but all declined. Instead, they issued us with written statements saying that they're committed to responsible investment. Specifically, the Commonwealth said it wouldn't comment on its relationship with Bunji. The ANZ said compensation is a matter for the sugar mill and not them. And then there's Westpac. After our inquiries, the bank this week announced a new agribusiness policy, saying it won't finance agricultural companies that violate the rights of local communities. But with Westpac, it gets more curious. It says it ended its 5-year relationship with WTK back in 2000. But official records were only updated 11 days ago, following inquiries from 60 Minutes. No one would knock the banks for riding a boom and investing in sugar, palm oil, timber or any lucrative crop. But you'd hope when the Big Four make their multi-million-dollar investments, they apply ethics and scrutiny equally to people and profits.
If it's good enough to do due diligence to make sure you get a return on your investment in a money sense, why isn't it good enough to do due diligence to make sure you get a return on investment on your reputation, on the public perception of how you operate as a financial institution? Surely that's a really important part of what their business model should be.
You'll find the full statements from all 4 banks and a link to Oxfam's full report on our website.